We're here at Foleys with Ted Shaker, who became a legend on the other side of the camera. He's a 13-time Emmy Award-winning sports producer. Come join us inside.
It's Be Your Own Fan TV with your host, Tyler Taminia, sponsored by M-Style Marketing.
Ted, thanks for coming here today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us. You produced 7 NFL Super Bowls, 10 NBA Finals, 9 NCAA tournaments, 12 Masters, 2 World Series, 8 U.S. Opens, and 11 Daytona 500s.
Yeah, something like that.
Which has the most moving parts?
Well, you don't do it alone. You know, the great thing about working on a sporting event for television is that it's a collaborative enterprise, and there are all kinds of people who are involved, and all of them, when they get to a certain level, have a lot of experience and are really good at it.
How do you build your format for a show? Where does that begin?
It's months ahead.
It's months, right?
You have to be. I mean, you know, when there's a Super Bowl in play, you're talking about an event where the commercials are around $3 million for a 30-second commercial, and everybody has, you know, banked a lot on it and how well it's done, and so you have to pay attention to that well in advance so that when you get there, you know, all you don't know is who the teams are going to be. You know where the city's going to be. The interesting job, I mean, one of the interesting jobs is when doing like the NBA playoffs and finals. The NBA, you don't know who's going to be there, you know, and you don't know where it's going to be. So we literally had to, as the different playoff series would progress to the finals, we would have to put television trucks and crews in different cities anticipating where the next series may begin, because it, you know, one may end on Friday night and then Sunday afternoon begin again with the next series, but where is it going to be? So it was this kind of logistical nightmare, but again, because we had such a professional group, we were able to do it, and over time we were able to minimize the problems or the mistakes because we had already committed them all, you know, in previous seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about the Super Bowl commercials, and recently they just made an announcement that they were
going down.
Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I mean, it's just kind of reflecting the times.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got that happening. Also, you have the Winter Olympics is going to lose, you know, a couple $100 million for NBC in February. You know, that's kind of reflects the times.
Why do fans watch these games? I mean, is it personalities, or is it part competitiveness?
One of the things I always thought was funny about sports television was the number of people that thought people were tuning in to see them as opposed to watch the game.
Yeah.
You know, which is a big mistake.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big mistake because they're tuning in for the game. People can hold them in. John Madden is probably the best at that I've ever seen, where he could. It was when the game was going south, and it was his team. Now I'm going to date myself because it was Pat Summerall and John Madden, and in the truck, the producer was Bob Stenner and the director was Sandy Grossman. The four of them were at their best when the game went south, and that's when they really earned their money, because their goal was to try to make it as entertaining and interesting as possible, even though the game is, you know, long gone.
Who are some of the personalities you work with along the way?
I've had a chance to work with a lot of great talent. The biggest character I ever worked with was Jimmy the Greek. You know, Jimmy the Greek Snyder.
Yeah.
You know, the best communicator I've ever worked with is John Madden. He even though he has the kind of the blue collar thing going, he is the most articulate wordsmith I've ever met. But I've had a chance to work with all kinds of people. You know, I mean, Tommy Heinsohn was a real interesting character and smart man. Tremendous amount of experience and knowledge about basketball. Ken Venturi in golf, Billy Packer, more recently Jim Nance, James Brown, Leslie Visser. I've been very fortunate. I'm leaving out literally scores of names.
But give me a highlight. One that really, you know, when you reflect back, you think, wow, that was a great moment.
The NBA was not doing so well.
Yeah.
You know, and David Stern had just taken over as the commissioner. I had just become executive producer at CBS Sports. We ended up doing this conversation, you know, about what are we going to do in the event that we get something good, and we all kind of worked on trying to prepare for that. And lo and behold, in the playoffs that year, the two teams that made it to the finals were the Lakers and the Celtics. And it was Larry Bird, and it was Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Robert Parrish. We got to the seventh game, and it goes down to, you know, to the fourth quarter, and it ends up, you know, the Celtics win, and the edge of the court was absolutely lined with people. Everybody had come down right to the edge of the court. So as they counted down, they all came out on the floor in this kind of mass of humanity. And it, you know, and then later that night in Boston, it was just like an amazing place to be.
Is this always what you wanted to do? Like growing up, did you say, I'm going to be a 13-time Emmy Award-winning sports producer?
No, I didn't. I mean, what I did know is I wanted to do something for an audience.
Yeah.
That's what I always wanted to do, for an audience. Now, that could be television, stage, it could be film, it could be radio. I've had a chance to work in all those different things, but I always knew it would be for an audience. In fact, my first production job was at CBS News, and found that to be kind of restrictive. You know, there were a lot of guidelines on what you could do on guidelines on top of guidelines. And so it was a question, if you're going to go to the West Coast, it's going to be entertainment. If you stay in New York, it's sports or news. So I kept knocking at the door and finally got into CBS Sports. I'm not a fanatic.
Yeah.
I love to watch how people put things together. The creative process is so fabulous. And in TV, it's so great, as I said earlier, because it's a collaborative. Everybody contributes to it, for good or for bad, you know.
I got to talk about American Idol. It debuts tonight. What were your thoughts on the whole Fox-Time Warner dispute?
You know, it's pretty interesting. You've got that going on. You got Scripps Howard against Cablevision.
Yeah.
You know, with the Food Network and HGTV. The Tennis Channel is suing Comcast. I mean, everybody's fighting for their piece of the pie. I find it, you know, all fascinating. The bottom line is, though, the bottom line, and that is that we are going to pay for it in the final analysis. It's going to be passed along to us.
So now it's time for a Be Your Own Fan moment. What was your favorite childhood experience?
I remember being the Giants used to play at Yankee Stadium before there was a Giants Stadium. And in 1963, they played a championship game against the Green Bay Packers, I think. It was the coldest game that had ever been played to that point. That was then eclipsed later by the old Ice Bowl in Green Bay. But I remember sitting in the bleachers with my father at that game, trying to kind of take it in, and that's one of my more memorable moments. Trying to get an idea of what that was like. See all these people in the stands just going nuts, as well as freezing, and watching the players on the field, Frank Gifford, guys like that. It was pretty cool.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for taking the time out to do
this.
That's
fine. My pleasure.
It was great.
My pleasure.
All right, thanks, fans, for tuning in. I got to thank my buddy Sean Clancy here, the owner of Foleys, and for letting us film from his place. And Sean, why don't you tell our fans where you're located?
We're here at 18 West 33rd Street, right across the street from the Empire State Building. You can check us out online at foleysny.com. or we're at Facebook at Foleys NY. Stop by, have a cocktail, and enjoy the atmosphere.
Great. Come on down. Be your own fan. Bye.